Hey, Trails Collective, what's up? Ian here for the weekly rundown for the week ending March 26th, 2021. Hopefully this finds you all doing well, taking advantage of some beautiful days out there as the weather breaks. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for it and looking forward to the trails already drying out a bit. On that note, let's start with a piece in the media. The New York, New Jersey Trail Conference just released or published an article on trail etiquette during this mud season. I think we all know the impact on trails when they are pretty beat up. I am as guilty as anyone, if not more, in getting out there on some muddy trails. But something to be mindful of, and we will plug the link here. And thank you for all that you do, New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, for your work in building and maintaining the trails. All right, let's see what else. TC Live this week, this Thursday evening, the 25th. Join us at 8 p.m. on our YouTube and Facebook channels. We'll have New Pennsylvania Trail Sister and TC supporter and crew, Grace Langheim, as well as Nicole Capadora of Happily Running and Finger Lakes Runners Club, which is co-sponsoring the event with us. We will have Katie Arnold, author, mom, and incredible endurance athlete on to connect. So for sure, tune in, bring some comments, plug into the threads, and we are really looking forward to it. Again, this Thursday, which this video will be live at 8 p.m., and you can always catch it after the fact if you miss it. All right. So we will get into, cover some of the UltraSignUp Hotlist, let you know what is open now and looking like it's going to close out. Registration is opening this weekend. Result from one of the races this past week, some upcoming events, and then we will close out with some FKT info. And stoked to have, I think, 5 or 6 different people weighing into this week's episode. So I'll try not to waste too much time so we can put the focus on their voices. Here we go. UltraSignUp Hotlist. Heiner View Trail Challenge, 25K, 50K, running April 24th in North Bend, PA. This is a classic and consistently one of the largest events in our region. Typically sells out pretty quickly, and I'm surprised to see slots open right now. I almost think it almost seems like an error, but I'm assuming it's just with the COVID shakeups and modifications. If interested, get on it now on UltraSignUp. 5 spots remain for the Spring on the Trails Endurance Run, 3 and 6 hour event slated for, it's actually this Sunday in LaGrangeville. If registration is still open by the time of filming, no time like the moment to get on it. Also 4 spots remain for the Big Woods Half Marathon, an inaugural event running in my home turf in French Creek in Elverson, PA. They're slated to run also this weekend, so to be seen whether registration is still open by the time this is live. 4 spots remain for the Rattling Creek 10K, 25K, 50K, slated for April 10th in Halifax, PA. And arriving on the warning track this week is the classic Laurel Highlands 50K. The event Laurel Highlands, I'm not sure if the 50K was in there in the beginning, may have been, but one of the oldest races in our region or in the Northeast. And I'm pretty stoked. I'm working on a number of articles right now, which is taking up quite a bit of time, but I'm pretty excited for them. To hopefully release in this next couple weeks on best of trail events and races in the Northeast. Laurel Highlands is making that list in terms of the classic events. Shout out to the Connecticut crew out there and the Schnipsit Striders. A bunch of you weighed in on some awesome information on the Connecticut trail scene. And I was thinking of having that live in the series in February. But I'm still trying to figure out how to best to position that and may tie it in after these features coming. So if you're wondering where that is, hang tight. I still got it. We'll get there. But Laurel Highlands, only 17 spots remain for the 50K. So get on it now if that sounds appealing. That's running June 13th in Ohio Pile, if I didn't say it already. The Cut 112, set for June 4th in Southwick, starts in Southwick, Mass. and runs south through Connecticut, is holding at 90% full. And the Single Track Maniac 50K, slated for April 10th in Williamsburg, Virginia, is 91% full. Registration is opening this weekend. Shore to Shore 25K, 50K, scheduled for April 10th and 11th in East Islip, New York. And On the Rocks Trail Run 16.7 through to 50Ks, scheduled on June 26th in York, PA, are about to open. All right. Results. So we had, there might have been more that just I missed, but the one on my radar this past weekend was the Terrapin Mountain 50K and Half Marathon, a classic Eco X event. Another great Virginia early season 50K and option. It's a 50K and half, showcasing the beautiful and technical trails of Blue Ridge Mountains. I'm not going to talk too much on it here, as I am stoked to have Patrick Early of the Dairy Queen Track Club here to join us in this episode. He also has Umstead on deck for himself, another classic event. It's outside of the opening radius here in North Carolina. But good luck, Patrick, and he will cue us into the podium rundown, and then we'll be grateful for a couple more clips from finishers to weave in on Patrick's heels. So, take it, Patrick.
What up, Trails Collective? This is Pat Early to intro the Terrapin Mountain 50K and half marathon. This race occurred this past Saturday outside Lynchburg, Virginia. The course was modified this year due to COVID. They cut out Fat Man's Misery and made a couple other changes. This made the course measure right around 31 miles this year. Overall, it's a mix of runnable fire road and single track. There's a 4-mile climb right off the bat, about a 9 or 10 mile climb in the middle, and then around mile 22 it drops significantly, about 2,000 feet over 2 miles. But overall, runnable course. And weather out there was great. At the start, it was about 28 degrees. They did have a staggered start, but because of the chip timing, it made it where you could start anytime you wanted to. Reports from the runners were that the course was marked extremely well and that the aid stations were exceptional. I actually heard from a few runners that Frank Gonzalez, who had just participated in the Barclays Marathon, was out there cheering people on. That's pretty freaking cool. On the men's side for the podium, Mike Fox was in first place with a 4:15, followed by McLean Grow in 4:21 and Stephen Tucker in 4:41. On the female side, Rachel Spaulding came in first place with a 4:54, followed by Jana Fridrovich in 4:59 and Robin Wrightson in 5:25, rounding out the top three. On the half marathon, Michael Bullery finished in first with a 1:59, followed by Josh Gilbert in 1:59 and RJ Bascom with a 2:02. On the female side, Allie Zealand hit 2:20 for first place. Alyssa Rowland rolled in with in second place with a 2:22, and Nelle Fox rounds out the top three with a 2:23. Quick shout out to the Dairy Queen Track Club, who had 5 people to participate this weekend. Matt Nagard, in only his second ultra marathon, rolled in 9th place, running a 4:58. Ben Schaftel continued his improvement, running a 5:21. The always consistent Julie Doldorf ran a 5:33 in a very strong women's field for 4th place female. James Brennan hit his target of 5:43, and Heather Warwick continued to build her ultra resume, running a 6:52. Great job to all, and here's the winners for the details.
Hi, I'm Mike Fox, and I finished first place at the Terrapin Mountain 50K.
I'm Nelle Fox, and I was first across the finish line, but third overall chip time in the Terrapin half.
Yeah, so we just wanted to tell you a little bit about that race and some of the other races that we've done. First time doing Terrapin 50K, very tough course, a lot of vert. I didn't realize when we signed up that it was actually about the same amount of vert as Promised Land, almost. And so definitely had to hit the mountains quick and hard after Holiday Lake, because that's totally different. My goal going into Terrapin was to win the race. That was my goal going into Holiday Lake too, and I ended up third there. So Terrapin, the whole goal was to win, and that took me through a lot of different tactics. Going into it, I wanted to go out easy. I actually didn't run the race the way I wanted to, or the way I wanted it to go, but that's racing. I was hoping to be easier through 20 miles, 25 miles even, because the last 5 miles are very runnable and kind of fast. So, but that's not the way it turned out. I went out with McLean Grow, who I knew would be the main competition there, and he stopped about mile 9 at an aid station to fill his water bottle, and I didn't need to stop. So that put me in the lead running solo. And that was okay. I was I was mentally prepared for that as well, but not necessarily the way I wanted to do it. So from 9 miles until the finish line, it was basically just run as fast as I could, taking risks on the descent, minimal stoppage at the aid stations, and just trying to grind the last 5, trying to get it away as much as I could, because I really didn't know where he was. So I ended up winning by a few minutes, which was the goal. I'll take it. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but that's okay, and it was good training for Promised Land coming up.
Yep, so I signed up for the Terrapin Half because I knew Mike would be racing, and instead of just waiting at the finish line, I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to get a long run in, because I also am training for Promised Land. I ran Hellgate 100K back in December, and so I was just looking for a gentler ease back into training after taking the month off. And the course is hard. It is pretty much a straight up climb, ascending to Terrapin Mountain summit, hands on knees climbing, definitely breathless. And then for me, it's definitely not a course that's suited to my strengths. I definitely am a good downhill bomber if it's not too technical, but it was very steep and very technical on the way down. So I knew I would have to really push on the climb up the mountain those first 5 miles. It's about 2,500 feet of climbing in those first 5 miles. And then I know I lost over 1,000 feet in 1 mile coming down. So I just try to keep my feet under me, not fall over.
1,000 feet in 1 mile.
Yeah, it's a lot
Slightly
of
steep.
descent. And then coming into the aid station, it's about a third to maybe a little over a third of a mile down, out and back to the final aid station. And as I was climbing out of that aid station is when I saw other women for the first time in the race that I was competing against. And because of the rolling start, I had no idea who was behind me when they started, how far behind me they were really in the race. So when I saw them, it definitely put me into gear, so to speak, to push probably harder than I would have if I hadn't seen some females in those final 5 miles that Mike was talking about. Those were some really strong miles for me, pushing down below 6-minute pace as I was approaching the finish. And it was a really exciting finish. Lots of people there, spread out, of course, cheering, excited to see a female come in, and then just watching all of the other women roll in afterwards and waiting to see how the race all shook out. Ended up being third with the chip time. And one thing that I really love about these races, and we've been doing these races for 4 years, is just the community. Everyone is cheering for everyone. It's just a really pleasant time. It was a beautiful day. It was comfortable enough where we could sit outside with our friends and our new blankets that we got as part of the Finisher Award and cheer people in. And Mike and I actually got engaged at Promised Land in 2018. And so we'll be going back for our 4th finish this year. Really excited about it. We're hosting our own 50K, 20K, 5K race in the Massanutten, Shenandoah Valley area in a couple of weeks, about a week and a half. And so we have a pretty full spring calendar. And then Mike, of course, is running the Lynchburg Ultra Series. So he still has Mountain Masochist after Promised Land. And then I'm looking at Grindstone as my first 100.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot coming up for the rest of this year, which is great because last year was, not a lot of things going on. But the Nut Endurance Challenge is our race that we're putting on April 3rd. Logistically, a very easy race. Is a figure 8, and the figure 8 is 10K, and so every 5K you're basically going by the aid station, by your stuff, and so logistically it's very, very simple race. And Promised Land, like she said, we actually got engaged there. So that is a special race for us, April 24th. We will be doing that, which is a David Horton race, Terrapin race, Clark Zeeland, fantastic race. Course was very well marked. I was worried about that going in because I was hoping that I would be leading the race at some point, especially close to the finish line. And the course was marked really well. So, and we know that the Promised Land is the same way. Of course, we know the course really well now, too. So, yeah, running the Lost Series, the 50 miler in the fall will be exciting. I'm hoping to put myself in a good position or keep a good position in that series, and be able to place high in it. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much for inviting us to share our experience. We love the mountains. We love a good challenge, even though sometimes we really hate ourselves for signing up for these races. But in the end, the reward always outweighs that fear in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm Mike Fox.
I'm Nelle Fox.
Reach out to us sometime. Thanks so much.
Hey, my name is Rachel Spaulding, and I'm here to talk about the Terrapin 50K, which I ran in last weekend in Big Island, Virginia, so right in the Blue Ridge mountain area. The race is made up of all the different types of terrain. So you have your pavement, your gravel roads, your fire grassy roads, and then the technical mountain trails as well. So all the things that just kind of make for a really fast and mostly fun type of ultra. So the race was ran by Clark Zealand. He's pretty well known in the ultra community in this area. So he did a good job with all the COVID restrictions and precautions. And I feel like it was a very safe event. So just talking about the event a little bit, the race starts on a pavement. So it starts out really fast and everyone just kind of flies in the beginning, and it's easy to get sucked into that. So I just, kept telling myself, Rachel, chill, which I'm not always the most chill. So yeah, I just told myself chill. And after, about a mile of pavement, you start making your way up a pretty technical climb that just keeps going up for like, I don't know, I think it's like 16, 17, 1,800 feet. Someone's gonna have to fact check me for like 4 miles, 3 miles. But so it's a lot of gain in a little bit of time. And, I was like, all right, this doesn't seem too bad. And but after that, you hit a gravel road called Honey Creek Road, and you're descending for like 4 miles, and it's really easy to overrun that section, I feel like. And during that time, I met up with a running friend, Tim Spaulding, who had an awesome race. But so I met up with him, and he's just, giving me some words of encouragement. And one thing that really stuck with me was remember, this race is not won on this road. And that just was really good for me to hear, because he flew by after that. And moments later, the second place woman, Yana, came by, and she was just like, hey, are you Rachel? And I was like, yeah, good luck. And, we had some really nice words exchanged, and she flew on by. Like, she was going so fast. Like, I think there was gravel kicking up under her feet. So at that time, I knew she was a good road runner. So I think that helped me mentally, because I knew maybe there was a point that I could probably catch back up. So, the rest of that during the race, I just felt like I didn't really make any ground on her. I'd catch her a little bit on some climbs, and then we'd hit a really runnable section and she was gone. So just a really strong runner. So she was ahead for, most of the race. She climbed back up the road, you do another loop, it's whatever. So skipping past that part, I didn't really feel great during any of that. But I just kept being positive and just trying to stick to my plan. And, I got to the second to last aid station, where the one and only David Horton is standing there, and he's, yelling at me, very kindly yelling at me to, hurry up, and I don't want to be the first place loser again, do I? So, I was just like, oh no, I don't want to be. So I start, trucking up the mountain, and I knew it was going to be a good section for me. At this point, there's 9 miles left. I think it is about 9 miles left, and it's all pretty technical mountain single track trail. So definitely my strong point. So I knew she was 2 minutes ahead of me. That's what they told me. But I didn't see her, and I started to get like, like anxious. I'm like, I just want to see her. So I finally see her on this descent, and I just remember being like, yes, and just saying it out loud. I was just like, yes, this is so great. So yeah, so that was a high point for me when I could finally get her. But then she was still moving, so I still had to keep moving. And it wasn't until the last aid station, so I don't know, I think that's like mile 25, where she got there. I saw her. She was super quick in and out, and so I was also quick. And we start going up this climb, and we pass each other, and she's trying to tell me she's not a mountain runner, and I'm just like, you are crazy. You're doing so good. So, friendly competition. And I think it's always important to just encourage the other women, whether you're passing them or they're passing you out there in the ultra running world. So it was good. And but once I did that, I just started running up this climb, because I knew if she couldn't see me anymore, I feel like that was a good strategy. And I learned that from another girl, Leah Yingling, who I think did the same thing to me in Hellgate in 2020 in December. So thank you, Leah, for that little trick there. So I just kept running till I couldn't see her, and then I power hiked for a little bit. Then I just got it together, and there's only a few miles left, and I think I did pretty good there. Caught some men, so chick power. That was really fun. So I just keep flying through these sections. I knew I had to keep moving, because the last little bit is a descent and then pavement, and that's all very quick miles. So she could have easily caught me. So I just kept moving, and when I finally got to the finish, I was just like, I won. So I was super excited. It was actually the first race that I was not in the lead the whole time, which I usually go to the front right away. And, when I'm having a good day, I've been able to stay there, but there's been times where I'm the one that's getting passed at the end. And so this was the first time that I was patient, held back, and actually passed someone to win a race. So that was a big deal for me. So I just feel like I'm just continuing to learn about running, what my strengths are. And that was only my 5th ultra, I think. So I'm fairly new. So yeah, just a lot to learn. But next for me is Promised Land in April. So that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Less gravel roads, I believe. So that'll be good. And then looking towards something in the summer, not sure yet. And then have my sights set on Hellgate 2021. So hopefully I can maybe get a win this time, since I've gotten 3rd and 2nd there the last 2 years. So yeah.
All right, upcoming events. Let's see, March 27th, as I mentioned, the Big Woods Half Marathon at French Creek State Park in PA. March 28th, Miocene Epic, a 6-hour event running over a 5-mile, which sounds like it's a beautiful loop along the shores of the beautiful Chesapeake Bay in Lusby, Maryland. And let's see, Naked Prussian, which I am planning to be down at, merged with the Bavarian as well. So 2040 and marathon 50-mile options this weekend. I'm hoping for some nice time out there with a great crew. The Dogwood Ultras, Virginia Adventures Dogwood Ultras, 10-mile, 12-hour night, and 24-hour options will be running. And yeah, that's what's coming the rest of March, and then we will get into April next week. All right, on the FKT front, in New Hampshire, Ben Thompson, in a huge effort, 3 hours and 32 minutes to take the male unsupported mark on the Presi Traverse. For those of you not already cued in, Presi is one of the iconic routes in our region, and it's one with a really competitive history of some phenomenal athletes and individuals that have set marks on it. Ben shaved off 10 minutes off the already phenomenal mark set by Jordan Fields in 2019. So great job, and congrats, Ben. And let's see, in New York, Matt Michella, 2 hours, 51 minutes for the Five Sisters Loop in Bear Mountain, taking 15 minutes off of Jordan Plank's mark from last July. And then a hot day let me make sure she didn't, see if she didn't message me back to color what I was about to say here. Bethany Garrettson and Caitlin Rhodes, 15 hours, 39 minutes for the beautiful beast of a route, which is the Bob Marshall Traverse. Covers 31 miles with over 15,000 feet of gain in the stunning and rugged Adirondacks. This sets the female unsupported winter standard route mark. And same day, same route, Laura Tuttle was also out there, finishing in 15 hours, 48 minutes. And thanks to Laura for checking in to cue us into the Bob Marshall and her day out there. So take it, Laura.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Tuttle, and I wanted to give a quick recap of the Bob Marshall Traverse, which I did last Saturday. This was an FKT that I had been eyeing for a really long time, and I was really excited to give it a go last Saturday because the weather was perfect, and I was really psyched to challenge myself and get it done. So I started my watch at 6:48 a.m. at the Johnsburg Lodge, did an out and back on Big Slide, then came down and crossed the trail past the Johnsburg Lodge again, went and did Lower Wolfjaw, Upper Wolfjaw, Armstrong, Gothics. Then I did Saddleback Basin, Haystack, Marcy, came over the backside of Marcy, went and did Skylight, then continued down the trail to connect with the McIntyre Range, which includes Iroquois, Algonquin, Wright, and for the final mountain of the route was an out and back on Mount Joe, and then ending at the lodge. So in total, this was 14 peaks, roughly 32 miles, and 15,000 feet of elevation. This took me 15 hours and 48 minutes, and I decided to do this solo, unsupported, because no other woman had done the route this way in winter. And it was a perfect day. I couldn't have asked for better weather, snow conditions. It was just all around something that I will remember for a really long time.
All right, and the last one of the evening is the PA mark. Keith Querry, 1 day, 3 hours for the 84-mile Standing Stone Trail. This is 90 minutes under George Conrad's mark from September of last year. So this is the media we have in this week's rundown episode. And I am going to close out this episode with a clip from Keith. So Keith, for checking in, cue us into your effort on the Standing Stone Trail. And to all of you out there, thanks for your support, and I will catch you next week.
Hey Trails Collective, Keith here. This weekend I set the self-supported FKT for the Standing Stone Trail in central Pennsylvania. The trail is an 84-mile point-to-point with roughly 16,000 feet elevation gain. I chose to attempt this FKT because the trail holds a special place in my heart. Being that it's basically my backyard, I have so many great memories with friends and family along the trail. When it came for me to prepare for something like this, I didn't have very much knowledge, so I relied heavily on my coach, Eric Idiot Runner Kosick, and the former FKT holder, George Conrad. I put 3 drop buckets out at miles 27, 47, and 69. As for the run itself, I couldn't have asked for better weather or trail conditions. Everything started off nice and smooth, and I made it to my first drop bucket ahead of schedule and feeling great. By the time I got to my second drop bucket and the sun went down, things started to get rough. I was having stomach issues, and even the simplest drink of water was making me dry heave. I started to really feel the hurt that comes along with the territory. I would think of Miles for Livy to help give me the strength to keep pushing forward. By the time the sun came up, everything started to look better. I knew I had enough miles and time in the bank that all I had to do was finish. If you have never been on this trail before, I suggest you check it out. You won't be disappointed. And for anybody that wants to take a shot at the FKT, I say go for it. I went for the FKT to have it, not keep it.